Hello, folks, and happy Friday to you all. Today is, what is it? It's not October, it's December 11th. Yes, I totally forgot what month it is. It's 2020, whatever.
Don't worry about it.
But yes, let's go ahead and, you know what, get into the swing of things. Derek, what have you been doing today? Have you gotten an X marks the spot?
No, I've been staring out the window like that meme where you just kind of stand there and like shuffle and look at the floor dejectedly and then every truck that comes by, you're like, what? Is that the truck? And it's not.
And like the Peanuts Christmas music plays like
Yep. Pamplemousse actually just released a medley of Peanuts Christmas music, so I was actually just listening to that. So you are 100% accurate.
Nice.
But so my friends, last week we had the Christmas miracle. They found an Xbox Series X. I'm very excited. It's shipping to me. FedEx said that it would be delivered yesterday by the end of day. And then they changed it today by the end of day. So they say that it's out for delivery. I've got my fingers crossed. I hope that we can have digital Christmas or whatever. I've got my fingers crossed.
Hopefully,
but something did arrive that we were excited about before.
Ooh. Oh, shoot. Oh, I want to get that.
Wait, where is that?
I think you still can. I just ordered it. I pre-ordered it from Amazon when we talked about it way back when.
Yeah.
So this is the weird thing is that this arrived, and then I noticed that it says tear out and play now, and I was like, who would do that to a book? How are you even going to do that? And then I realized that all of there's dozens and dozens of micro games in here, micro RPGs, and they're all 2 pages. So one side of one page, the other side of that page, and then they're all tearable out. So you can just take the ones that you like, rip them out, bring them to a con or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll never bring myself to do that because I can't deface a book. But somebody could do that if they wanted to.
Derek's copy it.
No, just get another copy of the book and you have your pristine version and then you have your tear version that you just tear the pages out of.
Yeah, but then the tear version will feel... So here's the tear version will feel sad because I tore it up, but then the non-tear version will feel sad because I didn't use it. So I have to think of the emotional stability of my inanimate objects.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
I feel that. That is a mood for me. I 100% support that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I heard you also supported a bunch of other things this week, Emma.
Yeah, I blame Derek just because I always blame Derek.
I claim victory.
Oh gosh, so many of those Kickstarters. I ended up backing Xenolanguage. I backed Factions Battlegrounds because the more I looked at it, I'm like, this is doing some really cool stuff mechanically and thematically. So dove right in on the Factions Battlegrounds Kickstarter, and of course, the
Cozy.
third one.
Cozy?
Get close.
No.
Creature Comforts.
Oh, god darn it. I was like, it is Cozy
people,
Creatures. I was like, Cozy Creatures, right? That was the name?
I couldn't not. The more my heart just kept growing 3 sizes and got warmer and warmer every time I looked at it. So yeah, I
feel uncomfortable when I don't have at least one currently active Kickstarter that I've backed. It feels like weird. Like there's a whole...
Yeah, it's weird though. This year, I mean, back when I first discovered Kickstarter, like 8 years ago or whatever, like I got really into it, backed some stuff, got burned a few times, and then over time it went down a little bit because I started getting all the things. But this year, for some reason, and I can't even play most of these games, right? So I've just the fantasy of them. I've backed I looked at my list now. I think I have like 20 or 30 things that I back. And Derek's smiling because he's like, oh, only 20 or 30 things. But
I'm just happy that you're experiencing the joy.
Yeah,
it's not how many
joyful.
Kickstarters you back. It's how much you enjoy the Kickstarters you back.
It's the Kickstarters we made along the way.
That's true.
There you
the true
go.
Kickstarter is the friends we made along the way.
What if you just never end up playing them though? They just end up on your shelf and then
you did a good thing. And it's like I buy books. Do I read those books? No, I can't read.
Yeah.
I'm illiterate. And I just buy the books and
You're just a supporter.
I just support literature. That's it. I don't read these books. I can't read.
Yeah.
Emma, if me worrying about whether I was ever actually going to play something stopped me from buying things, I would have saved a great deal more money over the years. So I am uninterested in that kind of actual helpful logic.
I mean, the support angle has become particularly important to me. Like a lot of the Kickstarters I've been backing have been from diverse creators or from marginalized groups or for mechanics or types of gameplay that aren't very well represented. So I think, at least feel a little good about that. And sharing them too. Like when I back it, I'm like, hey, everyone, this is really cool. I actually put money behind this, so I can say you should support this as well.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's actually awesome news that, you know what, support those creators out there. And speaking of creators that you should support, Isabella, you look so well rested. Well rested.
She's had a full night's sleep. She's had a McRib. She watched Kevin Feige and Kathleen Kennedy talk about the next 40 years of content that we'll all be watching. I feel great. Yeah, my play opened last weekend. We're going into our second week, which I'm very excited about. And as the director of a play, what that means is that I no longer have anything to do. I am unemployed now that my play has opened. And so I got rest for the first time in 4 months. I did very little. I terraformed my entire Animal Crossing island. I just ripped up every natural piece. That island.
There's snow.
I know this. Yes, it's great. And I installed power lines. I gentrified my whole island. It's really sad. I've had 2 McRibs this week.
I was hoping you were going to say today.
Oh, I am going to because I just thought about it and I was like, wait, I ate the McRib, right? So here's how you eat a McRib. You take a McRib, you open that McRib up, okay? You put French fries on top of the McRib, right? Then what you do, secret ingredient, just a sprinkle of some MSG on top of that, and then you close it back up and you eat it, and it's so good. And what I didn't get for myself the last time was a hot apple pie, and so I have to go back and I have to go get another McRib and eat.
Are you gonna put the hot apple pie in there too?
I think if you put the apple pie, the French fries.
Oh my God, you're gonna
some MSG.
No, I don't like it.
Together, you wrap that together in a tortilla shell, you deep fry that. Tresbon.
And then you put it on your desk and you cut it and you find out that it was a cake the whole time.
It was cake the whole time. Can I tell you the level of anxiety that comes into me every single time that I see somebody cut something and I feel like, oh my God, it's gonna be a cake. It scares me now. I think we all have cake-based trauma around that. But yeah. No, it's been great. I haven't done anything. I mean, I'm working on my next project, but other than that, I rested. And listen to me when I tell you this, okay? There is value in rest, all right? We as human beings are not designed to produce constantly. We have to reject this idea that if we're not doing something that we don't have value. Reject the urge for production and rest your body. Rest is also a state of activity. And I believe in that firmly. And
absolutely.
Nothing. It was great.
That's
achievement unlocked.
Achievement unlocked. So according to Isabella, everybody rest. Like just get some Z's.
Aggressive.
Put your head down.
But hold on.
Yes.
But if she unlocks an achievement for resting, wasn't it productive and thus not what she said it was?
How dare you, Derek? Absolutely not. Yes, I produced nothing. Which in and of itself is producing something.
You can still celebrate. You can still do a victory dance. You can still enjoy and reward that as an accomplishment, as an achievement. More so, because it can be harder to do.
It's true.
I think all the exciting things that's happened to me this week is my Dune Imperium pre-order is en route. It's en route, which is like a lot quicker than I thought it would. I was like, oh, I'm going to get in the middle of next year, and it's en route now.
That's awesome. Are you going to play it online? Are you going to play it on Twitch?
Probably not. I like to enjoy my board game. Let me have my hobbies outside of streaming. I swear.
That's fair. I just want to see it. But I'll probably
hold it up on the show.
I'll hold it up on the show.
Okay.
Yeah. And then like I usually do, like I did with my Wingspan. I held it up, dropped it accidentally, and then ruined the box slightly. And I was very upset at myself.
Don't do that.
speaking of dropped boxes, I heard from a good, reliable source, Emma, that there was some droppage happening. Big droppage news happening this week.
Gosh, yeah. 2020's still got some stuff in store for us, apparently. So there's a storm that washed thousands of shipping containers, including games, into the ocean, enormous waves that may or may not have dumped a bunch of copies of, get this, Good Puppers that might now be on their way to the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. So adorable dog games just washed into the sea and lost to us forever. So that's...
At the other end of the spectrum too, there is a rumor that that's why the Death Guard stuff that we talked about being delayed the other week was delayed.
Oh, wow.
Was not just because of COVID, but because it may have been on this same boat.
Yeah. So for those of you who might not be aware, most of the goods that we purchase in this country are brought to us across the ocean in giant containers, like whether they're cars or whether they're toothpicks. They're shipped across the ocean on big boats. If you live in Seattle, actually, you might have seen a lot of these container ships, because a lot of this stuff actually comes into the Seattle ports. And if you ever take the Argosy tours around the Sound, you get a whole spiel about the ships and how people get dizzy looking down at the cranes that lift the containers off the boat. It's a whole thing. It's fascinating. Anyways, so the ocean is not a flat plane of water. It has these crazy storms with like 100-foot waves just tossing these things into the water. And yeah, every once in a while, one of these ships hits these, and that's what happens to our stuff. Luckily, a lot of these companies have insurance to be able to take care of that, but the whole shipping is an incredibly large expense out of the costs of producing a game. So it's more so than even the cost of making a physical board game. So the cost of shipping both to the distribution centers and across the world is a big part of that cost. So having to pay for that cost again to get things shipped again can be very difficult for these smaller companies. However, Asmadi Games and lead designer Chris Cieslik have promised that they will immediately print and reship these things, even though they're not entirely sure about, because again, all the containers on there, you don't know which ones are which, but it takes months to print these things again and ship them again. So they're just going ahead and saying like, hey, we're going to send this stuff out again, just in case, because we don't want to risk like months and months in delays. So sad news, but they are on top of this. So be patient if you have invested in this game, but they are doing everything they can to make sure you get it as soon as possible.
Can I just say that I didn't know what Good Puppers was, and so I thought that was the name of the ship. I thought the name of the ship was called Good Puppers.
Yeah.
And I was so confused. I was reading it with one eyeball, and I was like, wait, so the ship called Good Puppers? Yeah, it was the game is called Good Puppers. I learned that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Reading.
It didn't say what the ship was called, because the whole ship didn't sink, okay, to be clear.
Right. Yeah. Does anybody? It was just the storm just knocked over these containers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like,
I mean,
some of it washed off a portion of their.
The waves go like this
load.
at some point.
Yeah, well, if you see these ships, it's like the ship is here and the containers are just like here, right? They're not glued onto it. They're just piled. It's all very fragile if you look at it, and scary. And it just tips over, far enough. But yeah, the ship was not lost. I mean, I feel like we would be probably talking about a bigger tragedy there than losing board games.
For sure. If it was like the ship sunk, we would for sure. Yeah. And then also we'd be like, oh, well, the Good Puppers were lost, but also like 40 people lost their lives. Anyway.
So if you like the boat being named Good Puppers, did you see the note that Scotland names all of its snowplows? And they have an app that you can use to track where the snowplows are. So they have like Mr. Snowplow and for your ice only, and all these ridiculous snowplow names, and you can just watch.
Why would I know that
around.
Though? Who keeps up with snowplows in Scotland?
Somebody, and they're on Twitter, so now we all know, and that is the beauty
you
of
know
Twitter.
what? It's amazing how many things that they have apps for nowadays, right, Derek?
As a matter of fact,
Yes, nailed it.
Yep. The Warhammer 40K app that we talked about before, they launched that. It has a subscription, that kind of thing. It is now, like, for the next month or so, it's in an open beta free trial, kind of like a Netflix free trial or something like that. The army building portion of it that a lot of people are waiting for has finally launched. So, in the app now, you can browse through all the rules. You can go to the Battle Forge. You can make an army, your little Battle Force. You can go through and add all of your units and stuff like that. It is very explicitly in beta right now. So I will tell you that A, there are a bunch of errors that will be in there. And B, they want you to go in, find those errors and let them know how you feel about it so they can improve that process over time. So if you are a Warhammer fan, even if you're not playing right now because you can't really go out anywhere, you might want to spend a little bit of time grabbing this, mess around, make a list, add some things to it. If you're one of those folks who are used to a lot of the kind of independent third-party community tools like Battlescribe and stuff like that, the interface is very different and will take some getting used to. But once you kind of figure out how it works, it's neat. Like, I really like the fact that it has images of the units. It just makes the list look nice. I really hope that they can kind of continue taking this in new directions. I also really hope that eventually they take it off of the phone and allow you to do it on like websites or just online in general, because the phone interface is a little bit small and limited when they're going to have a lot of these big images and a lot of the text in there. But it is actually pretty neat to just be able to bring up a book and just have the rules content to kind of go through. So again, mess around with it, build a list or two, see how it feels, and then let them know what the problems are.
All right. Very, very cool. You know what? I think we need now, from this break of bad news, I think we need to just give some good news in chat that we can get real excited for. By the way, these good news apply to two of our hosts. Can you guess which two hosts are going to be congratulated today? But Emma, kick off this congratulations. Who are we congratulating first here?
Good play, Isabella. You mentioned your play having been launched and getting rest for being out of a job. This play is, of course, Sex by Mae West, open this weekend, running through December 19th. You can get your tickets now. We're going to post that link into the chat. I have gotten my tickets. I'm signed up to watch it tomorrow evening. Very excited. Honestly, I'm happy about this because I've always wanted to... my husband and I talk about getting culture for actually, going to museums and seeing plays and less of our like basic activities or just watch like cartoons or whatever. And back in normal life, it's, you gotta get dressed up, you gotta go to a place, you gotta do all these things.
You don't have to put on pants. You can watch this play pantsless.
There's no pants. We're gonna like drink some of our whiskey or something.
In fact, I encourage you, please don't wear pants when you watch this play. I'm so sorry, Emma, that you're trying to get cultured and you're watching this play, which is like so wild and so filthy.
This absolutely counts. We're gonna like check off our box of like, we have done a highbrowed, get some intellectual stimulation, historical, right? This is a piece of history. So
Derek, go to jail.
I didn't say anything.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Emma. Yeah, I'm very proud of this play. And yeah, congratulations to me, because now I am unemployed officially. No, just kidding. Yeah, I hope that you really like it. It was a labor of love. And thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. I hope you like it. I would love to know what you thought of it.
All right, we need to take a moment because it has been requested that we all look into the camera, smile, and go, "Congratulations, Isabella! Congratulations!"
Congratulations!
I made one Neon Genesis joke.
Yeah, but Isabella, that's how it works. You make one Neon Genesis Evangelion joke, and then it has to be remade a million times.
That's fair, actually. That's really fair. Thank you for that. Thank you for indulging me.
No worries, but more congratulations that we need to go out. Did you guys know that we have a famous award-winning game designer here on this stream? Emma! Emma just got from Geekdad basically announced that, you know, Abandon All Artichokes, a game about throwing away those artichokes. They need to get out of here. Made by our very own Emma here. Or wait. Am I pointing the right way? I think I am. Yeah, I got it the right way. Yes. So you got game of the year. So how does it feel? Congratulations.
It feels really good. This is from Geekdad, who did their rankings. They picked their top 10 and Artichokes ended up winning. And it's a very happy moment for me, especially because I've been got to know some of the people from Geekdad. They're super awesome, chatted with them over the years. So for things to come full circle like that, it's really cool.
It's very, very cool.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Another again. We need another. Congratulations, Emma.
Congratulations, Emma.
Well, that is very exciting. I'm glad and hyped for the both of you, of course, because, you know, the more praises that we can get in 2020, the better. That's how it is. Want to have this year to end positively. Maybe when things aren't so positive, you know, if you're kind of like going through a lot of glitches in a game right now, that you're like kind of frustrated. Guess what? There is a certain game out that people are kind of frustrated over, but we have alternatives to that game to make you and bring you happiness. Isabella, can you tell them what game we're talking about?
Absolutely. So I don't know if you guys have heard, but a game came out and it's a game that takes place after the year 2076. And it's so the whole thing is that there's been a lot of controversy that's happened around this game and many reasons why that you should really consider. I know that it's like the #1 game that everybody's talking about. Everybody wants this game. And besides some very dubious glitches, including some very dubious jiggle physics that's happening inside of this game that actually did kind of make me more interested in it. Other than that, though, the game is engaged in a lot of like labor practice not violations, but like exploitive labor practices, including crunch. They've used a lot of transphobia inside of their game, which they've not apologized for, they've not fixed or anything like that. Deploying copious amounts of racial stereotypes. The gaming of that, and none the least, they're like edgelord social media accounts, which has been like the bane of my existence for like 6 months now. The game just has a lot of issues. And one of the things that I really believe in is that we should not support crunch. You should just focus on having a good game. You know what game didn't employ crunch whatsoever and is actually a really great game? Hades.
Hades.
They did not exploit any of their workers, and it is a great game. Think about buying Hades. But also what you can do is that you can buy this itch.io. That's how I pronounce it. I'm sorry, how does it? I don't remember how anybody else pronounces it.
I always just go with itch.io.
Oh, okay.
Itch.io sounds like some sort of thing you would go discuss with a doctor. Like I've got some sort of bundle. It's an Itch.io bundle. Can you help me with it, doctor?
I just realized that I've never said this out loud to another human being in real life. So Itch.io has a cyberpunk bundle that they're called Be A Better Cyberpunk. And this bundle includes a lot of games by LGBTQ and BIPOC and indie creators, which is really incredible. It costs the same amount of money as buying the Cyberpunk Vidya game. And you should really consider putting your money back into creators who did not exploit people, use transphobia, and I know that everybody wants to play this game, but at the same time, like really putting that back into, because like the transphobia is not cyberpunk, okay? Yeah. Like I just want to say that racism, transphobia, it's not punk, all right? And like I have a myriad of different issues, which I think I'll talk about later on. Actually, no, I'm supposed to talk about that now. So one of the other things is that the Cyberpunk Red and Cyberpunk 2020, which is a game created by Mike Pondsmith, who is one of the most influential game creators in TableTakes, oh my goodness, in TTRPGs, and most of his sort of cultural relevancy, the kind of Black cultural touchstones that he put into the original game, has largely been lost in the new video game, and it does no service to his contributions as a Black creator. I mean, like, Cyberpunk really truly is like, it's largely POC, and it's been lost. And if you can, I know that there's a bundle that has, oh my goodness, I had it open. There's a bundle out there, I'll find it, that has the game, the original game inside of it that you can play. But consider supporting these people and supporting Mike Pondsmith's contributions. And, you know, maybe you don't have to buy the game right now. Maybe they can figure out their jiggle physics glitches, and then you can go out and buy it.
Well, I mean, I think that the thing that I would really kind of drive home here is that Cyberpunk 2077, the video game, looks gorgeous. It's got the aesthetic. It's got all the classic stuff that we have come to associate with Cyberpunk. But even the most generous embrace of it has to admit that the game is not really about engaging with the themes of Cyberpunk. It's not anti-authority. It's not, you know, about protecting the marginalized. It's not, you know, it's not really about all of that. Like, it's going to, even, you know, once they sort things out, you're going to have a ton of fun with it. If that's the kind of aesthetic you want, if you want an action adventure game, like, it's going to be there for you. But if you really want to mess around with some of the themes, I think you really do want to check out this bundle, even if you like Cyberpunk 2077. You know, there's a couple ones that really stood out to me was, you know, A Queer Cyberpunk's Guide to Tabletop RPGs. Like, it's basically just how to play a cyberpunk game while avoiding some of the tropes and concerns and issues that people are legitimately raising about 2077. There's also The Flower Court, which is this, you know, just from the very brief description, it captured my imagination. It was like, you know, you're dealing with this weird combination of politics and pop idols where, like, you know, imagine, you know, again, one of those really weird anime ideas or weird cyberpunk ideas of, you know, when entertainment and politics become so merged that you end up kind of treating political candidates the same way that you would a pop idol group. Like, that sounds like a really intriguing couple sessions worth of an idea. So there's a number of these things in this bundle. If you like that weird, if you like that philosophical part of cyberpunk, you definitely owe it to yourself to check it out.
On more really quick related news to the Cyberpunk games, right now there is a game jam going on for a Cyberpunk game for Asian creators. So if you want to go ahead and with this analog game trying to like reinvention Cyberpunk without, like, as you mentioned, these racist tropes and traps, like, go ahead and try to go ahead and submit your ideas. It's open for submission through January. The hosts include names
Kiana Shaw
and Banana Chan, a co-creator of
Jiangxi,
Blood of the Banquet Court. But yes, so if you guys want to go ahead and look that up, I highly encourage you guys, if you've heard these problems and you want to go ahead and make something cool with Cyberpunk and happen to be of Asian descent, go ahead and submit your submissions there. And now, the moment of truth that you guys have all been waiting for. Guess what? We are going to flood you with our Christmas ideas, or not Christmas, sorry, gift ideas, because, by the way, second day of Hanukkah, Shalom, is going on. Shalom. So, yeah, let's go ahead and start with Isabella. Give us our list of what we can get for your gamer loved one.
Absolutely. So at the top of my list for what we can get for this holiday season is the Hero's Journal, which is based off of the hero's journey. And it has this really great design inside of it that is sort of like if you were a young paladin and you're on your journey through different kinds of things, but those things are related to real life. So if you're looking to kind of spice up your weight loss journey, or you're trying to write a book and you you need some way of sort of keeping yourself on task, this is a really great journal. I know that, you know, in January, we all try to do something that's like, I'm going to fix my life finally and put it together. This is a really great journal to help you. And I love its RPG model that it's all based up against. The next thing on my list is I have this dice box. I love a way of keeping your dice organized and everything other than just putting it into a sack. I don't like a sack. I think it's hard to look through. I don't like having to dump your sack out on the table. I don't like that. This is really cool because it's in the shape of a sword. It's a dice box. It looks like a little dagger, and it holds all of your dice. And this is a really cute addition that I really think is really cute. If you're like me and you have a hard time with the numbers, and you play together in a group full of people who are all like, Isabella, count this. Isabella, number. Isabella, subtract this. And I'm just like, I can't do maths. I didn't get into gaming so I could do math. If you're like me and you struggle with this a lot, there is this HP counter. It looks like it's 3D printed, and it's a way of keeping track of all your numbers so that you can just like tally it instead of having to do all the maths, which makes gaming not fun. Stop making me do math. I hate it. The next thing on my list is from the company Death Saves, which you might know as being a really like cool metal company made by Joe Manganiello, who's a huge D&D fan. This is one of my favorite shirts. I love the shirt so much, and I just need to buy it for myself. And it is a shirt that's themed off of the Satanic Panic RPG. If you don't know about the Satanic Panic, please look it up. It was a very wild time in American history. And this is a shirt that has one of the headlines about kids worshiping Satan playing Dungeons and Dragons. The next gift that I have is from a company called Han Cholo. They make, it's like Han Solo, but it's Han Cholo. Yeah. They make really cool game-themed jewelry, really high quality. I have a couple of their pieces. It's kind of more on the expensive side, but it's very quality silvers, golds, things like that. And they have a pendant that is the Dagger of Light. And if you're ever like me and you're playing in a castle owned by a 3,000-year-old Dracula, you need one of these to help you guide through. I have a Rogue candle gift set because candles, you need that when you're playing on your 13th hour.
Well, when you're worshiping Satan, you need candles.
It's true. Satan does love a good, nice smelling candle. It's true.
Alderwood.
This is one of the things to go with that. I also have a Mimic ornament set as well for your Christmas tree. You know, you're like setting up all your stuff underneath the Christmas tree and you're like, what is this? And then the box opens up and it's got teeth in it and you climb in and it bites you and stuff like that.
No, that just happened to you.
Yeah, that's just a personal trauma I'm holding. This is a really cute ornament set for your Christmas tree. We also have a Gloomhaven holiday sweater. I set this aside just for Derek. Derek loves a holiday sweater. And also it's Gloomhaven, which is a really cute kind of a shirt. And there's also a miniature display shelf for people that love to just sink their money into miniatures. I know y'all are out there and y'all should be proud of your stuff. And if you're gonna spend thousands of dollars on these little itty bitty little things, you need to show that off for the world. And you should put up this thing that you can put all your miniatures, or like Emma suggested, putting your dice in there. You got fancy dice. I know that it's, you know, you got all your dice collection. There should be a way of displaying that. Be proud of yourself.
Can't wait for Emma to put that on the wall, stack all of her dice, and then someone to just gently bump it.
Oh no, don't say that.
Why would you do that?
That's so mean. Yeah, those are some of my picks for games to get the gentle, loving gamer in your life. Yeah.
So then, so then my picks were not as specific. Like I didn't have, you should get this particular thing or that particular thing. I've got a couple different sites that I think are good places to go to for gift ideas. Just because like, I'm one of those gamers who's like, I've got a lot of anime. I've got a lot of video games, got board games, RPGs. So it's hard for me to be like, hey, go buy me a board game. but it is like, I do think it's great to get somebody like me who's really passionate about games. The resources kind of upgrade those games. So a couple sites I recommend are Meeple Source, where they have really luxury meeples and resources and sweatshirts for like Scythe and stuff like that. But they, you go from like cubes to like 3D, like, little models of iron and wood and whatever else you're going to have in your game. They've got a lot of neat things. They've got custom meeples for Wingspan, I think, for all the expansions in Wingspan too. So you go there, find a game that your friend likes, get them some upgraded meeples, and it's one of those things that, like, it's hard to justify yourself buying for yourself, but it's great to buy for somebody else, and they'll appreciate it when they play this game that they love. Broken Token is kind of the similar way. If anybody's not familiar with it, they're one of the original companies that does those wooden inserts for a box where you can organize all your things to make it very fast to deploy, very fast to clean up. I adore being that organized with my board games, and I love the solid feeling that your box gets after you have filled it with wood. So it's great stuff.
Okay.
And then Dogmite Games is also another good choice. This is a little more luxury, but if you have, an RPG player who really needs one of those like engraved wooden GM screens, or a fancy dice vault or dice tower or something like that, Dogmite has some really cool stuff. And then finally, for the miniatures fan in your extended circle of friends, I cannot recommend highly enough Crystal Fortress, which is probably, you can kind of see behind me, they're these acrylic clear miniatures cases that also serve as both a display case that you can see your miniatures in when you have them on your shelf, but you can just pick them up, stack them, and travel with them to go play your game, and then just deploy from the case in the game. And I love it because it means that I am not going to spend a bunch of time painting my minis and then hide them in a foam box somewhere and not see them. But they're also stuck with magnets, so they won't just fall off when someone bumps them.
I'm gonna put magnets in all my dice.
Just have magnets everywhere. That's the answer to things. Magnets. And then I think, yeah. So if you guys want to know, I'm going to go ahead and do another speed round as well with gifts ideas that I have. Well, one thing you could get for your friend who also likes to candles and likes to sniff things that also happen to be dice shaped. They got these D20 candles that is from Fable Flames. They are a local Washington Etsy, or like basically a local Washington candle maker. I highly suggest Old Books. I love Old Books. Old Books is a great smell. If you want to get one of those candles. Another one that I really, really want to go ahead and hype up is one of my friends, Quiltoni. She does fabric dice trays with inserted foam. So if you also want a dice tray that's foldable that you can put in to your bag and then pop it open and roll dice with it, there's another awesome person that I would suggest. My third choice is another local Seattle friend of mine who does leather working, and this is Soulbound Leather. She does like leather dice boxes, like legit leather. You can request faux leather for those who want to be more animal friendly, but she does put a lot of time and quality into her leather works. And if you happen to have decks of stuff or want like a divider made out of leather, I will highly suggest her. The last person I want to suggest is Dryad Tea. She makes, of course, a lot of really great tasting tea. She also streams on Twitch. Another friend of mine, and she makes these D20 tea infusers. So if you don't want to just have a teapot, you can put your tea leaves in these little balls with the dice D20s at the end, soak it in, and it is there for you to enjoy. And those are my holiday picks. Emma, what about you?
I'm going to keep mine short and sweet. As someone who did Conry earlier this year, I've gotten rid of a lot of like old gift stuff that people have got for me. I think it can be very tricky to get people things. So I definitely like to lean in the direction more of digital goods or consumable goods. So one of the really cool things I think is if your friend is into games or RPGs, there's a lot of fun digital options for PDFs, all the bundles that we talk about. There's game supplements for games that they're into, Tabletop Simulator, getting DLC for that. So there's a lot of fun ways to give things that are not going to take up any space in the home, and then also just like tasty snacks and stuff to go along with the game playing. Like I've been really enjoying my green tea advent calendar that I had talked about at the beginning of December. Have a little tea with my gaming has been fun. So that's definitely what I would encourage. Oh, and one more thing, if you are doing a digital thing, you can even like get a PDF and print it out, make it kind of nice for someone. So there's a lot of custom options or little handmade type things. So you can put a little love into that. Or if you're getting something digital, make a nice card and send them the physical card so that they get something to open physically as well. Some fun stuff that you can do there.
All right. Very cool. But now, last but not least, hey, did you guys know we're part of Gen Con? Let's go ahead and plug in our own merch.
Yeah, so there's some quick merch just to run through. We have some Gen Con socks. There's a dragon design. There's a meeple and dice design. Gen Con has some ornaments. There are holiday pins. So there's a lot of stuff that's really, holiday gift appropriate there that you can select from. But then we also just have a larger lookbook to go through. I hear that our blanket is ridiculously soft. So yeah, apparently it's just super, super soft, and I keep meaning to get one and I keep forgetting. So if you're looking for some other ideas and you want something a little more Gen Con related, then you should get that. And Peter is in chat asking where to buy the Gen Con version of my sweater. And Peter, I will say, if you want to have an official Gen Con licensed Wolverine product, I fully support it. I would absolutely bring the X-Men to Gen Con anytime.
Oh, very, very cool. Yeah, like next year, we need all of us need our own Christmas sweaters.
Holiday Gen Con sweaters.
Holiday Gen Con sweaters, please. I put that on my wish list, since I know last year I was like, we need a stuffed animal for Gen Con, and then we got a stuffed animal for Gen Con. So if I just
so it's just up to Bonsai.
Yes, it's all up to Bonsai. On other related stuff that we did, that was our suggestions for the holiday season. We're suggesting it now because by the time you get them and ship them out, it'll be already the holidays. So Christmas is coming soon. The end of the year is coming soon. So get your stuff quickly. On other related news that you can get quickly, that is digital, we got Derek the Bundle Bows.
Why, hello. So to go through a quick lightning round, we have 3 bundles to cover this week. First, there on Humble Bundle, there's a Pathfinder Monster Lore bundle. And this is all first edition Pathfinder stuff. So it basically means that if you're playing second edition Pathfinder, these are great for monster kind of history or background or inspiration, but they're less useful for rules unless you are still playing a Pathfinder first edition or a similarly, third edition D&D kind of derived system. But there's $5, $10, $18 tiers. There's a whole bunch of different monsters in there. I think they covered just about every different monster group. I don't remember seeing an Aberrations one, but there was definitely like dragons, devil. People who always just loves more monsters, no matter what the rules are. Check it out. It's benefiting comic books for kids, which makes sure that kids in hospitals get comic books and coloring books and stuff like that. So it's for a pretty good cause. $378 worth of PDF content for $18. Check it out. On Bundle of Holding, there are two related bundles. The Savage Rifts bundle, and we've talked about this before, so I believe that Christian is here in spirit. But this is the Savage Worlds adaptation in the Rifts world. Everything is weird and gonzo and ridiculous. For $13, you can get pretty much everything that a player needs, all the core or the handbooks, core books, stuff like that. $22 gets you the GM material, monsters, maps, locations, a screen. If you are new to Savage Worlds in general, and you kind of want to hop on the bandwagon, then there's the Savage Explorer Essentials bundle. And that for $15, again, has basically everything a player needs. It's got the core book and then the fantasy, sci-fi, horror, superhero supplements to kind of build your character for that. And then for $30, there's a setting collection that has a pirate setting, a dark fantasy setting, superheroes, and a pulp sci-fi setting. So both of those are going to benefit the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. So again, a very noble cause. If you are curious about Savage Worlds, now is apparently the time for you to jump in feet first.
Yeah, get it on the digital copy because I have the actual bounded copy, and let me say the actual books fall apart really easily. They are not weaponizable, so get the PDFs. Get the PDFs.
Okay, so the physical books aren't deadly enough, so buy the PDFs.
Yes, exactly.
Got it. Okay.
This is
All
how it should be always rated. Well,
but
you know
before
what?
you can overthrow me, the Kickstarter Queen is going to make a proclamation.
Oh,
that Isabella, can you go with your first project?
Oh.
Yeah, see?
Yes. Rage.
So with 4 days left, we have some steampunk dice with an exclusive box and dice tower. The steampunk themed, if you're a big fan of steampunk like I am, I really love the designs that are on these dice. They have a really cool carved wood makeup to them. They also have a couple of different kinds of forms. So they have, like, of course, your gears, you got your old metals, you got your natural materials. It has a lot of really cool designs on top of it. And so I thought that this was a really out of left field design for dice. And if you're looking to hop into your dirigible and
put on your clockwork goggles.
Put on your clockwork goggles and slap on your top hat. This is the dice for you, with 4 days left, ending on Tuesday, December 15th.
Great.
Derek?
Also with 4 days left, ending on Tuesday, December 15th, is Tales of Elethrion, the adventure board game. So this is based on a YouTube series that I absolutely adore. I found it on Kickstarter a while ago. It is just such a heartwarming, imaginative, energetic fantasy adventure animated series on YouTube. The character designs are extremely varied. The situations are varied, and it's all pretty much language independent because there's not really any dialogue, or the dialogue that is there is inferred or uses images or something like that. It's really adorable. Like, it's absolutely one of those things of, if you are at all a fan of fantasy adventure, you absolutely owe it to yourself to try to watch a little of this and just see if it sticks with you, because it's just so adorable. It's so energetic. So this is an adventure board game based on that, but it feels a little more abstracted than, say, Gloomhaven or a room-to-room dungeon crawl game. You're still going on an adventure. You're following a map to the end to get to the treasure and see who can get the treasure. So you're going to have the kind of classic Tales of Elethrion weird adventures along the way, but you're not going to necessarily go through as tactical an encounter as some of these other games are. So if those have scared you off in their complexity, I feel like this game might be a little bit more up your alley. But this is very much my excuse to plug the animated YouTube series, and hopefully that will trickle down to some of you wanting to support the board game. I'm going to get it because they did 3D models, little miniatures of their characters, and their character designs are so unusual that I feel those will be really, really interesting to paint, like very divergent from usual kind of stuff. So again, 4 days left. Check out the web series either way, and if you like it, back to board game.
Mm-hmm. Now, with 6 days left, Thursday, December 17th, No Fish, a card game about an environmental catastrophe. So, hey, do you like goldfish, but also want to look at the real world repercussions of what we do and living as a human being? Well, I got the deck for you. I got the game for you. It's a dark comedy, family friendly question mark, because it does spoof on goldfish, but the images are both cute and horrible because you're like, oh, look, fishy. Oh, look, turtle. But Also, oh, there's trash everywhere. The turtle has a plastic bag over its head. It's a lot. It's a lot to take in. But the real focus of this game is that it's supposed to like highlight how much plastic is in the ocean right now. You have the deck is filled with 6 different endangered species, and then the rest of the deck that you play with is filled with plastic. It's basically cards that say plastic on there, and you have to ask how it's played is that you have to ask if the person's like, oh, hey, do you have a hammerhead shark? And they said yes. And then you throw that shark into the extinction pile because you killed it. And yeah, so it goes through the last person to have a endangered animal in their hand wins. And when you run out of endangered animals, your ocean is just filled with plastic and nothing can thrive there. So it's a simple game, cute art, with a very terrifying real message for the family to enjoy. So that's No Fish, a card game of environmental catastrophe with 6 days left. Yay.
Wow. Okay. All right. Up next, we have Slow Quest Stick a Hero with 6 days left, ending Thursday, December 17th. Visualize your favorite fantasy TTRPG characters with hundreds of stickers. These are 3 different boards that you can use. Put the stickers on the board. The pitch for this is basically not everyone can do awesome art or afford to get custom art of their characters. So it's a great way to visualize customization of your character, whether they have certain hair or hats or whatever. It's super cute. What I really appreciated about this Kickstarter is it's got better character customization than Cyberpunk 2077, more flexibility. They don't have gender conformed hairstyles and that kind of thing. So right there, you got to win.
All right, and the last one, I really hate to talk about this after just talking about dying fish in the ocean, but to round it all out, I have Below with 6 days left, and this is a journaling game about being lost. And this game, which I think was really interesting, is a game that sort of helps to explore the themes around depression. And as you are lost going through the woods, you're journaling about the things that you find there, and you kind of encounter different sorts of things. I would say a trigger warning for people that are that find talking about a depression or exploring depression or themes of those things would find this one maybe a little bit more challenging. But I think kind of using games as a way of exploring your own mental illness, or even to help to do an empathy exercise to help understand the people in your lives that also kind of struggle with depression as well. This game would be a really great game. It's a slow game, it's a dark game, but at the same time, these are real issues that people are challenged with every single year. And some people, well, I think every person has a person that they love that is struggling with depression and mental illness. And this game has 6 days left, and so look into it. It's called Below. That's it for me.
Yeah. Well, that actually is an excellent segue because we're going to be going on a 5-minute break. And right as soon as we come back, we're going to be joined by Hawke Robertson from RPG Research. Like basically, he's going to come in and talk about how RPGs and gaming can help, like basically with healthcare, therapeutic reasons, and all kinds of stuff. And he's going to go ahead. I can tell you some things, but I think I'm going to leave it to Hawke to come in and tell us how beneficial RPG can be in our everyday lives and helping those in also need, just get through trauma, get through like different, things going on in their life. So if you guys just wait about like 3 to 5 minutes, we'll be right back with Hawke. Thank you guys. See you in 5.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Thanks for sticking around with us for a brief break while we got Hawke Robinson, our old friend, back on. It's been a while since we've had him on the show, but then we saw that he has a book coming out, and we thought that it would be remiss of us if we did not have him on to discuss the book and the process that he went through putting it together. So, Hawke, thank you again for joining us. How have you been since the last time you've been on the show?
Really, really busy, actually. As you know, I've been helping a lot of clients through crisis mode all year, a lot of welfare checks, a lot of program planning each month. I've had to switch a lot of clients to pro bono because they don't have paychecks and stuff right now, and I don't want to just abandon them. So 90% of my clients have switched to pro bono state. I just kind of check in each month and help them plan out the next month of activities and programs to help them, maintain sanity and get through the stressors. And that's been helping. They're actually, the reports are generally they're doing better than everybody around them. So helping them get through this. Strangely, both the nonprofit RPG research and the for-profit RPG therapeutics grew at about the same rate this year, over 400% in donations versus revenue and programs. And and on the RPG research side, actually, our programs exploded. It's over 1,000% growth of number of programs per week and everything else going on. And we're really overwhelmed, but there's a huge demand because people are missing that human connection that, social cooperative role-playing games provide. And luckily we've been doing it online since 1996 using tabletop games in an online environment, and have found a lot of ways to help improve that experience and try to help people get through this.
Are you still looking for GMs and volunteers and help the
Yes,
same way that
more
you
than
were
ever.
last time we talked?
Yeah, we're coming up on 150 volunteers across 6 continents. And the two main things we need, of course, is always more game masters, because the more trained game masters we have, the more tables we can run, the more programs we can run. That's always dependent on that.
Do you have a quick link that you want to shoot people at if they're interested in participating?
rpgresearch.com/volunteer kind of gives you an overview of our volunteer policy, and then /jobs. So rpgresearch.com/jobs is where you'll see all the different volunteer positions. The second one is we really desperately need a volunteer coordinator and other administrative staff. So we have archivists and researchers and game masters and player archetypes and all these great roles to do the programs. But John, Danielle, and I are, and Kate are like the administrative staff, and we're drowning in administrative stuff while still trying to run all the programs. And we desperately need some volunteers to help with that. If there's a lawyer who's willing to do some pro bono for, we're 501c3 and all that, we could sure use one. And a CPA who's willing to do some pro bono for a nonprofit for a tax write-off, we could really use one. We're doing fine, we're staying on top of it, but we're drowning in administrative stuff, and it's starting to affect. We won't be able to grow more until we get more administrative staff. Yeah, we're kind of maxing out there. But it's a good problem to have. This is a good thing. It's mind-blowing in the face of everything to have that. So we were about 70% online before. Now we're more than 90% of our programs are online right now.
Hopefully some of the folks who are watching will either be able to volunteer themselves, or they'll know some folks who might have the time and expertise to pitch in. But you are here to discuss your book. So why don't you tell us what's the riveting title of this book, and what content does it contain?
It is not a catchy title. The short version we just use is the Role-Playing Game Professional Workbook. That's the short version. It's actually a whole series over time.
The title is a very Hawke title, I have to say.
The full title, I mean, it's got a subtitle. So Role-Playing Game Professional Level 1 Training Workbook. It's very descriptive. The subtitle is for recreation, entertainment, education, healthcare, therapeutic, and other professionals using tabletop, live action, electronic, and hybrid role-playing games to achieve measurable results. So you know what it is. It's very descriptive. When I first released the cover shots about a month ago, it was just the Role-Playing Game Professional Workbook. And then the same questions were asked over and over and over. And this title answers those. And people who would like the book, buy the book because the title is descriptive. And for other people who go, oh, that's not my cup of tea, it's right there in front of them. So yes, it's a long title, but it targeting the desired audience. It's been helpful. There's no misleading. Some people were upset that if they felt it was misleading at first, they thought it was like to learn how to play D&D and work through just learning D&D or something.
Well, so I mean, but to find out who exactly the target is, is this just for people who are already professionals?
No.
Okay.
It is. That's the main focus. So
Okay.
As somebody was asking in the audience just before in the stream, using games to achieve therapeutic goals can be a wonderful thing, but also has elements of risk. Trying to self-medicate, that's a version of self-medication, without supervision and a professional can be risky. And there has been a boom for the last 4 years, right? I've been involved with this for decades, researching this, but in just the last 4 or 5 years, there's been a big boom in the media and elsewhere. It's a real flip from the 1980s anti-gaming of role-playing games will deal with depression, role-playing games deal with PTSD, role-playing games do this and that. And it's true. The research we have in part helped develop shows all these benefits from role-playing games of different formats, tabletop, live action, electronic, and hybrids. However, as of the last 2 years, I'm aware of 2 organizations. I don't want to get any lawsuits by saying who they are, but they are licensed therapist professionals. They have companies of their own. They just grab stuff willy-nilly without going through like our training or peer review or anything. They took 2 knowledge domains. They were gamers and they were therapists. They stuck it together, did some programs. Well, both those programs, 2 different separate ones in different states, led to harm. They worked with higher risk populations, and those populations, things exploded, went awry, and people got hurt. We've talked before about the public school where they tried to do that on their own with the last chance alternative school, well-trained teachers and gamers, and it didn't go well. Tables got flipped, school went on lockdown, then they had us come in and it went really well. So just because you have 2 different knowledge domains doesn't mean you know how to apply it together with a high-risk population. It's not anything wrong with the game. You're talking about high-risk populations here when you start adding these other variables. So just to be clear. So one of the challenges is there's no standards out there of how do you do a role-playing game with these populations. And we've been working on trying to establish those standards for decades, an iterative process, et cetera. So this book is actually a workbook. It's not a training manual. It's related to training. So if you can get all the information online freely at rpgresearch.com's research archives, or Googling it, or whatever you want to do, you can find all the answers. That's intentional. It is a whole bunch of quiz questions with blanks in it, and the answers are not in the book. And the reason why it developed is like on the RPG research side, we train our volunteer game masters to very rigid standards. It's a 16 session program, which basically means take 16 weeks just to go through learning to be a player. And then you do another 16 weeks as a game master. So you get a lot of hands-on theory, research, etc. And this is a way to track that. So that we needed a way to track everybody's progress, because some volunteers would come and go, come back later. This first and foremost was to help us organize and track it. But it is useful for anybody.
So this sounds like it's a tool that you're going to use in a larger program. Like, you're not going to buy this, read this book, and be educated on how to do a lot of these things. This is a tool to use as you're going through some of the classes that you're offering, some of the other resources that you've put forward to help reinforce the lessons you're learning from those classes.
Correct. So, okay. And the quizzes are in here twice for each chapter, for example, so that when you first take it and you're in a lecture or you're doing the online training or your self-study, it's a baseline. How much do you know already? Let's go ahead and go through it right now and see what you know. Then you go through the lecture and the hands-on gaming and the tips and tricks and all of that, whether you're watching videos or doing it live workshops or doing the online training. And then you take the quiz again when you're finished to see how much you absorbed. And that iterative process helps it stick a lot better too. And we've designed it so that the index in the back, you can, in addition to the index that's already there, there's a blank index so that as you fill in the notes, you can add that, where was that in this workbook? That's one of the big problems with the workbook, is after you fill it out, you can't find anything.
Sure.
We want this to become a reference book with all your notes and everything you learned and be able to use it going forward. And if you are a layperson, so you don't have to do the therapy and the educational stuff, you just want to be a really good game master, maybe a paid professional game master, maybe a streaming entertainer, game master.
We might know some of those.
Another one is for all of those. It assumes you have never touched a role-playing game of any kind before, and walks you through step-by-step, introduce you to 7 different role-playing games plus a number of other games, and getting hands-on experience first playing and then GMing, very specific. And we found that these were really good ones for level 1 training of different concepts. So some are just like the basics. You got like No Thank You Evil and basic fantasy RPG. Then you start getting the ones that are more social, like Adventures in Middle Earth and Doctor Who Adventures in Time and Space. Then also we want you to have other genres. So we have a Top Secret New World Order, espionage. And so you get a nice variety. And of course you get D&D as well. And so it'll help anybody be a better game master and player.
Great. Emma, Bonsai, Isabella, do any of you have any questions or thoughts about the content of the book? What might be in it?
About the content. Well, it seems pretty straightforward to me. I was just wondering, so I'm just like looking through it, like there's also another incentive of why we want to go ahead and buy it through Amazon. Is that correct?
Yes, this right now, this is the Amazon preview edition. So it has typos and errors in formatting. It's missing a few diagrams. The bibliography isn't formatted consistently. It's content complete. It just, the final bit isn't done. But when we get the final version out, which costs more to publish, that's going to be $10 more for the physical book. Yeah, so right now, this is $19.99 for the preview edition, and that you can download the diagrams that are missing, etc. And then the ebook is only $2.89. The finished version, first edition, will be $29.99, and then the ebook will be $9.99. Now, importantly, for RPG LLC and RPG Therapeutics, 20% of all profits in those for-profit companies are donated straight to the nonprofit RPG research to help with more programs and more research. And if you go to smile.amazon.com to get this, Amazon Smile, if you pick RPG Research as your 501c3, they're listed as a charity, a small percentage of all your shopping, if you go there, will be matched and donated to RPG Research at no added cost. So you get to help them out that way too. Yeah, it's a great way to do it.
Hawke, someone in chat was asking if this is like the product management body of knowledge.
Oh, the PMBOK, yeah, for project management. So I'm part of PMI. I've been in project management for decades, so I know exactly what he's talking about. You could equate it similarly to that. It's not, it doesn't have the content, but it does have it is the training book that goes with your training. So if you go to a project management institute training or something like that, and you're working on a PMP or something like that, you sometimes get these workbooks that you fill out, and this is along those lines. Yes. I did it in nursing too. I had the same thing when I was going through my LPN. We had the study guide and the workbook. The study guide is going to take a lot longer to finish. We have an instructor's manual that could be a study guide, but there's a lot of block quotes in it that I don't want to publish. Copyright issues, you have to rewrite everything. So the workbook was easier to get out the door and get out helping people. And then you can find all the references to fill it.
Awesome. So unless we have any other questions about the content, Hawke, do you want to talk about the process you went through to put the book together and get it published and out?
Okay. So I've been gaming since 1977, role-playing gaming since 77. I started researching their effects in 1983, running games in schools and around schools and educational settings since 1985. With incarcerated populations since 1989 and with therapeutic settings and goals since 2004. This is the culmination of 40 plus years of, and I've been a paid game master since 1983. I was 13 years old and people paid me to GM. And so there's all these professional issues that come up, insurance and advertising and accounting and all these other things that are professional issues that you never think about until you try to make money doing this. And this tries to take, again, this is just level one. It's a series of books as you work up in your levels. But this is the amalgamation of thousands of groups that I've run personally and supervised many others, conventions, etc. Tens of thousands of hours, who knows how many, of actual gameplay and iterative. This is basically version 5 of the book. The first version of this was in 1985. And internally, right? We never published it publicly, but it just kept improving and improving. And then the last few years, thanks to RPG Research, we have, ongoing volunteerism and great feedback. So it's been through peer review with many, many, many people for over many years. And we just keep editing. There will probably be a second edition in a year as we improve it based on everybody's feedback.
We have edition wars at that point.
What's that?
Can we have an edition war at that point to really kind of preserve the tabletop spirit?
Well, the editions will hopefully be like normal editions where it's just minor tweaks and you don't have to overhaul and start all over again. But yeah, so it's been through a lot of peer review. It's multidisciplinary. I'm primarily a Washington State Department of Health registered recreational therapist, but background in computer science, neuroscience, research psychology, all of that. And all of that comes in. And we have feedback from wonderful people like Professor Sarah Lynn Bowman, and the Atoms at Game to Grow over the years, right? We've all collaborated and coordinated and such. So it has a lot of community support and is multidisciplinary, so it will resonate for a lot of different people to meet
Awesome.
your different needs with your different groups. And you don't have to use the whole book. It is. I was glad to see that the printed version came out better than it looked digitally. I was afraid it was going to look pretty bad. I'm pretty happy with how it looks, and it looks like a school workbook. So it could be used in a school program or other, and certainly we intend to use it with workshops and the nonprofit and all that.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I think that covers most of what I wanted to make sure you had time to talk about.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for joining us. Anything else? Oh, Kat is done with this too. Anything the three of you want to ask Hawke before we thank him for his time again?
One of the things that I thought was really interesting that you mentioned was this idea that of using games as being a coping mechanism. And I just wanted to know if you knew of any of like the things to watch out for if you think that one of your friends is playing games.
Life balance is the number one problem. So Jane McGonigal, who is out there saying everybody should play an hour of games a day, and she's right. The neuroscience supports that. But more than 2 hours a day, you start having issues with like the video games and such. And so life balance is critical. And there's two forms of escapism, as she brings up. Excuse me. There's basically good escapism and bad escapism. And one is self-suppression. Life sucks, so I'm going to go play games. That's the self-suppression. That's the bad escape. But then there's the beneficial version, which is, self-expansion. It helps you grow as a human being, which is life is better when I have time to play games. Research shows that if you keep certain animals like dogs and such, and human beings, with dogs, they go psychotic if you suppress them from playing. And the same is true for human beings. And if they don't get enough play, leisure time, unstructured and structured, then they start having very maladaptive thoughts and behaviors, and they lose creativity, lose the ability to creatively problem solve, let alone all the social and other issues. They lose the ability to creatively problem solve. They just keep hitting the same walls over and over.
So the whole classic all work and no play actually was a proper adage.
Here's Johnny. Yes.
Science says that is a true statement.
Yes.
Who would have guessed?
And one amazing thing that just came out the last few months, I've been asked by PBS, Public Broadcasting System folks, to come out. They reached out to me because I was on this show earlier this year, and they saw it. They were watching it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
How much
Wow, look at that.
Yes.
With PBS
For me to know that
Kids Online,
PBS is
stuff
watching
like
us.
that. What's that?
Said you have no idea how much of my youth I spent watching PBS. For them to be watching me is a beautiful treasure you have given.
Isn't that awesome? Yeah. So part of the PBS Kids Online and PBS Kids section, but they have asked me for the whole PBS, key people in the education, the programming, the marketing and communications departments. I get to go do some webinars introducing them to the concepts of accessibility, how to adapt games and such for disabilities, autism spectrum, brain injuries, etc., and how to bring in role-playing games and how they benefit, how they can be used for education, how they can be used to help, and how to adapt them to online settings that we have to do. And it's meant to ripple through the whole network. And it could be upwards of 100 people per webinar, and it's multiple webinars. So it's a privilege and an honor, and I'm stoked and I'm terrified.
Well, I love
it's the same
PBS.
material we've done.
Yeah, I mean, I love PBS, and I always love having you on the show to talk about what you're doing. And the idea of PBS working with you to bring some of the knowledge and experience you've put together with just their staff, let alone what their staff might be able to do once they have that.
The ripple
is incredible. I cannot wait to see what comes out of that. I wish you the absolute best of luck in that. You will have to, as we say every time, you have to come join us again on stream at some point in the future to talk about that topic that we did not have time to talk about this time. That is just the subtitle. Every time we have Hawke on, it'll be like, Hawke Robinson didn't have enough time to talk. He'll be back later for more. But thank you again for coming out. I hope you're very successful with the book. I can't wait to see what people do with the knowledge you're trying to put out there. And hopefully we will have you back on again soon.
Thank you.
Bonsai,
so much.
you want to?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But yes, so for all of those, thank you again to Hawke for joining us. You know, it's always a very awesome educational experience. And like I said, you are a saint, sir, a saint out there, just letting you know. So for those folks who don't know, hey, we're more than just a Friday show. We have a whole slew of slows here on Gen Con, just Gen Con TV. So for this week's schedule, we are looking at all of this is in Pacific time, by the way. Monday at 6 p.m. Board Games with the Brothers Mirth. Wednesday is 1:30 p.m. This Game Gets Dicey, followed shortly after by at 4 p.m. Fireside with Peter Atkinson. Friday at 2 p.m., of course, we have TableTakes. And remember, folks who are in chat, if you miss an episode live here on Twitch, don't worry, we'll be on YouTube 24 hours later. Actually, oh, sorry, I misquoted that. There's actually no Fireside this week, but we will announce it weekly on TableTakes what the agenda is looking like. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe on YouTube, also here on Twitch, and also if you want to go ahead and just talk with your other fellow Gen Con-ites fans, we got a Discord as well. Thank you all for watching. Thank you again, Isabella, Derek, Emma, and of course Hawke for joining us. I hope you guys have a lovely evening. Keep warm, and also if you play Animal Crossing, it's snowing.
Bye, everybody. Stay safe.
Bye.